Please make your way on in. I want to start off by just thanking you for choosing to come and learn more about parent liaisons and how they are shaping the future of school communities. So I just want to start off by honestly giving each other a round of applause for making it down here to learn about how parent liaisons really impact your school district. And if you don't have parent liaisons, how they could really shape the future of your communities. So my name is Shadia Salem, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent at North Palos School District 117.
Good morning, buenos días. I'm Roberto Díaz de Leon. I'm the Spanish Parent Liaison.
Good morning, I'm Danuta Figus. I'm a Polish Parent Liaison.
Good morning, Sabah al Khair. I am Manal Zoubeidi, and I am the Arabic-speaking Parent Liaison for North Palos School District 117, and thank you all for coming today.
And a little bit of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about the role as a parent liaison, also what we do, how we engage with families, interpreting, translating, then towards the end, also recommendations and considerations as well.
Right, so a little bit about our school district. We are from North Palos School District 117. We serve students from Palos Hills, Hickory Hills, and Bridgeview. We are in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. A little bit about our school district. We're about 3,400 student enrollment. And from that enrollment, 70% of students indicate there is a second language spoken at home. Of those 70% of students, 39% have been identified as English learners or multilingual learners. And from those English learners, 81% of EL identified students are US born. Over the course of the year since 2006, our English learner demographic has steadily increased. You'll see that right now we're at about 37% English learners. It really fluctuates between 37 to 39, which is about 1,300 students within our school district. This chart shows you our English learners by grade level. We have a high number of English learners in our primary grades and early elementary grades. And as they continue within our bilingual programs, they exit our program, so you'll see that decrease in the number of English learners throughout the grade levels. When I had mentioned the 70% of students who have identified a second language other than English within our school district, here are the home languages of all students in North Palos School District 117, regardless of that English learner demographic. You'll see 25% have been identified with English on that home language survey, 13% in Spanish, 20% in Polish, 32% in Arabic, and then 9% other. When we talk about other, what are those other languages? Because they're very important as well within our school district in terms of also the parent liaison supporting those families. We have Urdu, Pashto, you'll see Armenian, Gujarati, Croatian, Macedonian. The numbers that are increasing in addition to English, Arabic, Polish, and Spanish is Lithuanian and Vietnamese. A very diverse school district, which makes it very nice to work there and to meet all those families and learn more about their cultural and linguistic backgrounds.
Parent liaison's role. Before I go ahead and start, I have a question. How many people in this space have parent liaisons in their school district? Just raise your hand, please. Oh, that's a quite good number. Okay, the other question, how many of you here in the space are parent liaisons? Great, nice. Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna start with liaison from the word of definition of liaison. Liaison means bridging and communicating. So the primary function for a parent liaison is to assist buildings with registration of parent calls, parent-teacher conferences, nurse calls, and any form of school communication with parents. The other main important role of a parent liaison is building trust and relationships with parents. Why is this important? Because you are going to become the go-to person for those families when they have any questions regarding registration, regarding transportation, guidelines, disciplinary. You will be the person that they trust and have a good relationship to go to and ask about any question. Bridging family and school communication. Now, our main office is in the district office. We work around the schools. We have 5 schools in our district, and we move from one school to school, but our main office is in the district office. And that helps us with communicating with the families and bridging that communication. Now, parent liaisons will help families with everything from the very first beginning, bridging that communication, registration, phone calls, and building that relationship and going on.
Now, engaging families. So, as you know, the process of engagement is building the relationship with the families, building rapport. So let's take a look, a couple of ways. So the Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee is for parents who have a child either in North Palos School District 117, Transitional Bilingual Education, or Transitional Program of Instructions. Schools with state-mandated transitional bilingual programs are required to establish a Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee. The mission of the Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee is for parents and school districts staff to work together to meet the needs of our bilingual students and their families. This is to engage families in the educational process, to provide quality programs for families, to build community within the program.
The nice part about the parent liaison role is, in my experience within the district for over 13 years, is that it was really challenging to get a bilingual parent advisory committee up and running. And leveraging the parent liaisons and their role really helped these past couple of years build our BPAC and have consistent meetings where our parents' feedback is part of the process of planning out the school year in terms of engaging our families.
One of these ways is our snack and chat. So this is where we collaborate with our local organizations. We come together, getting ideas more than anything to present to parents. And this gives the parents a chance to come in, engage. And as you can see here, these are one of the ones that we've had: the gift of language, your community library, fall in love with reading. So we meet with the organizations, collaborate with topics, and it's important to bring the community together, have parents to know each other from different cultures and interact more than anything. Here we see some examples. So in the beginning, we start off with the fall snack and chat. This is where we bring the parents together and get ideas from them. What do they want to listen to? What are the informations they want to hear more than anything? Because more than anything, we want to have their feedback as well. Oh, okay. And then during one of the past ones that we did was Fall in Love with Reading. This one was a collaboration with our local library. This was for early child development in building their reading and coming together to learn how we can start early child reading more than anything. And if the parent hasn't started, how to get started. The other one is our up-and-coming snack and chat as well. This is with Moraine Valley Community College. They will be presenting kids' summer programs and also ESL classes for adults. In our snack and chats, we provide snacks. Presenters come in and give the information to them as well.
Yes.
So is there an interaction? I'm sorry, actually not. Is there an
So some of our attendees at these meetings are part of the PTA and are involved in the buildings. The nice part about snack and chats, like Roberto had mentioned, was that we're bringing families together to connect with community organizations, learn about those opportunities, but also we strategically, which is really nice, our parent liaisons strategically seat the environment of the space of these events where they're in a horseshoe, semicircle, so it's not very formal. There's also a question and answer panel where they're able to ask questions and interact with one another. And even the title of Snack and Chat makes it more welcoming and lowers that affective filter so that a lot of more of our parents are coming to the events. Previously, we'd called them, our bilingual parent events or workshops and sessions. We've seen a lot of success with the titling of these events where we've had an increase of parents engaging within our workshops.
And here we have some examples of translated flyers. The way we advertise is by person, in person, talking about it, passing out the flyers. More importantly, we do have our tools available as well, which are Parent Square. We like to, a couple of weeks before, send out a message. And then the day of the event, we also send out a message. That's been working out really well, and the turnout for people has been increasing as well. Forms of communication, yes. It's going to be in person. Oh, yes. So the frequency is twice. So we would like to send out like a couple of weeks before. So the parents can schedule the time and take time off if need be. And then the other thing that's been working for us is sending out the day of the message as well. We use Parent Square. So Parent Square does a really good job that if the parent wants either receive email, phone call, or text message, they'll receive it that day automatically. Thank you. Bilingual Storytime is one of my personal favorites. This is where early release childs get released and they have extra time at home. So we provide a 30-minute bilingual story time or story time to them. This is via Zoom. Again, same thing. We send out maybe 2 weeks before and the day of. And these, we get a lot of little kids coming in, and then we read the book. During the story time, we like to interact with the students, asking questions and having them answer back as well. Writing on the chat how you like the book. Another thing that we added on is actually adding a puppet to our story time, where he comes in and asks questions, interacts. I've been having a lot of great feedback when I'm in meetings. Parents actually tell me their students love it, the little kids are happy. Towards the end of the story time, we raffle out books. These books are delivered in person to the classroom. There is a letter, a handwritten note, thank you for joining our Zoom meeting, and then we add like a inspirational quote as well in that letter. Kids are happy and enjoy it.
In addition to the parent liaisons and the purpose of this space to promote that second language learning and fostering that cultural awareness, it's also making our parent liaisons more visible through parents in the classrooms with teachers, so that if our community may not be aware that we have parent liaisons, that now it's even adding that additional layer that we do have parent liaisons that they can connect with and utilize and leverage within our school district.
I also wanted to add that we make sure that we choose multicultural books that celebrate diversity, and they can also learn some words here and there in different languages. Okay, adult ESL courses. We parent liaisons strongly believe that language is the strongest tool for communication. And language barrier is a big issue when parents come in. It holds them back when they want to communicate it with the school. So language barrier is a kind of like cripples the parents. It holds them back from coming and reaching out to the schools because they're gonna say, oh, I don't know English, oh, why bother going there if somebody's not interpreting for me, or if I have only minimal English. So we partnered with a third party, which is Governor State, and we offered adult ESL courses. Now, you might say, oh, well, community colleges offer it, why do you offer in the schools? So we offered it for the sake of convenience, and we also offered it in the AM and PM sessions. We made sure that stay-at-home moms got a chance to come in, and also people who work came in for the PM sessions. Also, it was a great chance for the parents to come and meet other parents who are struggling or on their journey for learning English. Now, this program was a huge success and had lots of positive feedback from the parents, from the students and the teacher, to a point where this was not only a product of success for the parent liaisons, but the whole school district was very supportive of it. To a point, it was spotlighted in the Board of Education meeting where we had some of our students and the instructor come out and spoke on the microphone and explain why to the board members such tools and services are important for families. Now, this is a sample of a newsletter that was sent out by our Director of Public Relationship. NPD 117 parents complete ESL course through GSU, and there are some testimonies from the parents why they chose this program, why they wanted additional programs. So we have Carolina said that her daughter in the first grade ESL language program encouraged her. We have Dima Yassin, who joined our program in their journey of learning English to help better support her daughter in school, better school communication with the teachers. She can speak to the doctors. And then we have Monica, who's a Polish speaking, who said that she knows some English, but during the pandemic and they spoke their native language at home, she kind of lost those skills. And enrolling in this program helped her to refresh her English skills. And we hope to continue to offer it for the second semester, for this new school year, 2023-2024. Also, the EL intake plan. The EL intake plan is a new plan that our district has been planned for all our newcomers. Now, all the newcomers that are coming from outside of the United States of America. It can be from Central or South America, Middle East, Eastern Europe, and so on. Why did we take this plan, or why did we put it in place? Now, the new students who come in and their families, not only they don't know the languages of this country, but they're also exposed to a new culture, new schools, different expectations. So everything is new and difficult for them. So we want to make sure through those three steps I'm going to explain right now, how they can be well settled and get used to the school district. So the first one starts off with district supports. So like I said, our offices are in the district office, so we're close to registration. So the first step is registration. We help the families with the registration process, and the student gets assessed by our team leaders, to know where's their English language, and then they get placed. We make sure that we give them all the information they need for the school, from school calendar, breakfast and lunch menu, attendance guidelines, behavioral guidelines, what are the expectations from the schools in the USA, and then the school support. So once the child or the student is in school for like about a week or two and got used to it, the team leader and the teachers meet together and they say, okay, what is the student struggling with? Where are the supports? So sometimes it's not just academic support. So we have students coming from Yemen, Syria, Ukraine. Those are war-torn countries. They can have PTSD. They need extra support in social emotional. Do they need social services? Are they afraid from the fire drills? We're close to Midway, so the planes. We have some students from Yemen say, like, the sound of planes is, scares us. Or having a cop come into the school. So we had a student who cried when she seen a cop, and we made sure that we teamed her up with one of our social workers. That's it. And then after 3 months, every 3 months, we make sure as parent liaisons we do a check-in. So there's a document with questions. We call the parent, say, hello, how are you? Hope all is well. How are you doing? How's your kid doing at school? How are they doing socially? Are they picking up on the language? Do they have friends? And sometimes they'll say, oh, everything is fine. They have friends. We just need extra support in language. They're having difficulty having friends. We go back to the social workers. Hey, make sure they have a buddy in class. make sure that they have a friend or a paraprofessional who speaks their language, who can stay with them all day. And that's helped a lot of students with us. So that's the EL intake plan. It really helped us with all the new students and welcome them aboard to our district and to settle, and we've seen a lot of positive feedback. So pretty much everything I went through. Another big portion of our role is interpreting and translating. That takes a really big portion of our job. Interpreting and translation. Parent liaisons interpret any school meeting for families, whether it's a meeting with a social worker, teacher, parent-teacher conference, principal, can sometimes get to a student dean or a superintendent if it sometimes involves disciplinary or behavioral problems. Parent liaisons also translate all school announcements and newsletters, just like I showed you before, the newsletter for the adult ESL classes. Parent liaisons translate some of the IEP and 504 plans. I'm going to deep dive into that a little bit more in detail. And documents, I think sometimes special letters and legal documents at some point. Now, our district uses a very unified translation request. We have 5 school districts. Maybe it's not one of the largest school districts, but it can get a little bit crazy if we're not using a same platform to request translation. So it makes it easier for us and for them. And you can see here, it's a Google Sheet. And you can see location, where is it coming from? Could be from the district office, superintendent, to a school, registration. The requester name, who's requesting it, what is the document? And you can see in blue, because this is a hyperlink where I'm just gonna click it and see the document and work on my chat. When is the due date? It's very important because it gives us a time frame. We can work on what is a priority, what needs to be done, because we're busy doing other things. And the most important part, you can see the parent liaison only use, and it's Arabic, Spanish, and Polish. You have 3 check boxes. If I'm done as an Arab, I'm done with Arabic, I put my check box. Danuta does hers in Polish, Roberto does his in Spanish, and that's when it's ready to go in 3 languages. I just like, for more confirmation, shoot an email, it's done. And then anybody who has access throughout the school district can go back to this document and access the document in all 3 languages. And it's worked successfully for the 2 years I've been with the district. This is a sample. Yes, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yes. What about those families that you had talked about others, so like Vietnamese and some of the other languages? If your school district requires translation in other languages other than your 3 majority languages?
Absolutely. So we have Parent Square, and Parent Square is a great platform that offers translation in other languages. And so if parents need that support, then they're able to work with whoever they're working with really closely to be able to turn that on so that they can have that translation. We also let parents know that they can seek out additional translations for their specific language and work with their ESL or bilingual teacher if needed. And what I wanted to go back to, though, is what's really nice about this is it prevents emails, right, with different flyers or documentations, and really streamlines things for the school district and for the parent liaison role. Another nice part of this process in this spreadsheet is that it also tracks how much they're translating, and then also keeps the translations from the year before so that they're only editing if needed instead of having to recreate it. There's also a guidance that goes along with this spreadsheet. So who are the allowable requesters within the district, right? Because you also want to streamline that as an administrator or as a team. Is it open to all teachers, or is it open to psychologists and social workers? And so we do have specific requesters who are able to request through this document. It is not something that anybody, any staff member can actually enter information in. And so that's something that if you're looking at streamlining your translation request procedures, that you also incorporate that level of whose role is it within this translation procedure that's able to add something onto it.
Do you have a question?
Yes.
As a parent, we appreciate the privacy that not everybody gets all of our kids' information.
Oh, yes.
Great question, thank you. Yes, and these are documents that are general documents. They are not student-specific documents, absolutely.
Does Parent Square enable two-way communication where parents
Okay, since I'm a parent at the same school district and I have Parent Square for 3 children, Parent Square is a wide platform that combines Class Dojo and everything. So it can be for public announcements, but also it's categorized by school. You also have a message button where you message the teachers directly. But nobody sees it but you and the teacher. And regarding the language that Adelisi asked before, in the settings, so if parents do not speak English, in the settings, you can go to the language preference, just like you do with your phone, whether Samsung or Apple, Android. You're gonna change a language setting to whether Arabic, Urdu, all the languages are available. So you would receive all the messages, whether directly from the teachers or public announcements from the district or messages from the school principal. You would read them in your own language, and I seen the translation is pretty decent. It's pretty good, actually. I was surprised. And then when you receive a message from your teacher on the private messaging, which is like similar to Class Dojo, it is translated to your language of preference. And you're able to write back to the teacher, you know, I signed up for the chaperone for a field trip or something regarding homework. It could be anything. And you're writing back to that specific teacher. You can write it in your home language, and she receives it in English. She responds back in English, but the parent will receive it in their desired language. That's a really amazing thing that I know District 117 just, correct me if I'm wrong, Shadia, we just started this new school year of 2022-23 school year. We're still practicing, we're still learning new things about that, but it's amazing. I mean, you probably request it from your school districts.
So the parents need to download an app though?
Yes, they will download an app. Even if parents don't download the app, they'll still get the announcements, school announcements through via text message or email. But the direct messaging, it's really useful because you get to see each child, and then there's a dashboard, you see all their teachers, and then that's when you're able to click on that, like the bubble message, and communicate directly with your teacher for any question. And sometimes I would communicate with my teacher about spelling words at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. She would answer me back for my 2nd grader. So it's great. Another portion of what we do is special education. We translate, or actually we orally interpret a lot for IEP meetings and 504 plans. Parents who don't know English will be provided with an interpreter. Sometimes even if their language is not available, we'll make sure even if it's a telephone service, but most of it, we do it. This particular type of service of interpreting for a 504 or IEP is very special. It's very critical information about a parent's child. We make sure that we're skilled, we're knowledgeable with all the special education terms, and we translate word for word and just make sure we don't skim or abbreviate it, because it's important that the parent knows everything that's going on. Parent liaisons also assist in calling parents to set up meetings and dates, whether they're special education or other meetings with teachers or principals. We also, far away from translation and interpreting, we make sure that we are the cultural bridge. There's always a cultural difference. We make sure if there's any cultural issues that we clear them out.
Okay, so we moved into the recommendations and considerations. And let's take a look. So here, for the parent liaisons in the room, why are ethics important in this specific role? Anyone? Yes?
There's sensitive information, student-sensitive information that you have to...
Sensitive information, yes. Yes, correct. Anyone else? Well, let's take a look. So here, the choices that we make affect the individual as well as the organizations. So ethics are really important. We have integrity, honor, a choice, principles, honesty, and being fair, more than anything. So ethics working with families. Respect the culture, values, choices, decision, privacy, and beliefs of families. Confidentiality is important to build trust and rapport. So keeping any information with you stays, or having meetings. All the conversations in those meetings stay in those meetings. Stay up to date on current resources, research, and tools to assist your work with families. You want to give families the right information the first time. Of course, if you don't know that information, it's okay to come back and find out what that information is needed, and then call back or in person tell the parent the information needed. Maintaining appropriate boundaries. We work closely with families, keeping a professional and being neutral. Let's say that you have a really close friend, and then another person that you just met. Now, we're going to give the same service equally, being neutral more than anything as well. Interaction in the workplace. Know the organization's policy and procedures. This is also important to know where there's a lot of the main thing here is knowing where to search. So the policies and procedures, you need to know where to get it and how to get it more than anything, because you deal with a lot of questions with parents that might need that policy, and you need to know where it is. Again, maintaining confidentiality of information for families served. Parents and team members put trust in us to keep that information confidential. Be mindful of social media posts. Again, anything you post on social media stays there, and just be mindful of how you say it. There's different cultures. Just be mindful of how you say it, where you say it. Working with the community and outside partners. Act professionally when representing the organization. So we do meet a lot of our outside organizations. Main thing here is always being professional and addressing that. Be clear with partners about your role and support to families. It's important to let them know what your role is and what you're trying to accomplish at all times. Communicate any interactions. So sometimes you might be out and might have a parent after hours as well talking. You want to communicate any interactions the next day, the following day, not during the time off work, especially. So these were the following policies and procedures: social responsibilities, staying up to date with research, tools to help families, participate in workshops with families, confidentiality is important, and privacy. Communication, as a parent liaison, most of the time you are communicating with people. So working with families, how do families prefer to communicate? This one's important as well. Everyone communicates in a different way or receives messages in a different way. Some parents might want just a phone call, some might want an email. What I started doing is also keeping track of what parent wants and how they want to be communicated. Yes, in the back. Yes.
So depending on their needs, I mean, they can work with the technology department and request, and we would support them from there. Yes.
May I say something? In my case, when they are not literate, because some of our parents are not literate, I am there with them to support them every step of the way. And, with them next to me, I can do the registration and I ask for permission. I know that's something personal, but I always act on their behalf, because if they are illiterate, what can we do, right?
Yeah, so we actually do that. In our district office, we're right there next to them. So they can come in, and we personally have computers there. We assist them registering their students. Anything they need, we are there for them, more than anything, because we are that bridge of communication between them and the school. So anything that helps them out, we are there to do as well.
To add, when you start with them with registration, that's why our office is right in front of the registration. It's very important that that's the beginning point. That's when you develop that relationship and trust, and that's when you become the go-to person for everything that they require from the school district and the schools.
And we'll go back to the, so like we mentioned, we do also family check-ins with parents to see how their students are and actually how they are doing as well. So any concerns with parents or concerns with their students, we address. We're also a part of the workshop. So all the workshops that we do, we're there for them, we're there to interpret, we're there to participate as well, making them feel more comfortable and encouraging involvement with the school as well. Working in the workplace, know where and to whom to communicate. There are different departments within the organization, so we need to know what department does what, where to go, and how to go when it need be. Understanding the chain of command is also important. Some certain situations might involve a teacher. Some situations might involve the team leader or even principal, or sometimes all together, all at once as well. Yes?
Going back to the family check-ins, I just want to know that and how do you decide what families to check in with and how often do you do that?
Absolutely. So the family check-ins, there are two layers to it. The first layer is if it's a new family registering, then our parent liaisons, if they're supporting them through that, they could share their contact with them and they would be able to touch base with them throughout the process. The second one, though, is strongly aligned to our EL intake plan, and that would be once or twice throughout the school year and ongoing as needed. And so what that looks like is once the student is enrolled in the school district, we give them time to settle in, and then we have something called ongoing monitoring, which is part of our EL intake plan, and that's 3 months on. During that 3-month mark, then the parent liaisons would be able to schedule a phone call or a meeting if they prefer to come in with the family, and there are certain questions that they'd be able to have a conversation with the family about regarding their experience in the school district, their needs, and then also the students' needs. And so that's kind of part of the EL intake plan process, but of course they would be checking in with any families regarding their questions. The nice part about the parent liaison role is they have cards in which they give it to families registering into our school district. So then it's that line of communication, but we also have their cards at buildings. So then when parents come into the school building, then our administrative assistants or secretaries would be able to give them that card to be able to connect them as well, since their office is in the school district, and then they travel to the 5 schools as needed.
And then communication with the community, show professionalism, build rapport with the community, listen, ask questions, and don't forget to smile.
The considerations. In the iceberg concept of culture, only 10% is visible, like food, language, music. The other 90% is hidden below the surface, like values, religious beliefs, norms, learning styles. It is very important to learn about your families and in a deeper root of their culture, and not to generalize and learn more about your families. Parent liaisons are a cultural bridge between schools and families. Use of bilingual parent liaisons is important for education professionals because communicating with linguistically diverse families often requires individuals fluent in a family's primary language to explain or clarify information related to programs and services. For example, IEP meetings can be very intimidating and overwhelming for parents. Parents are in a room full of professionals discussing hard topics regarding their kids. And in short times in this role, I've noticed that sometimes just the presence of a parent liaison is important for them. They sometimes don't need a translations. They just need someone who can relate to them, who understand their culture, and that's why the presence of parent liaison is helpful for them. As you can probably tell right away, English is not my first language, but um, but I know firsthand how hard it is to navigate your life in a different language. But it also gives me this unique perspective. So when mom answers the call and she can hear I speak Polish, and you can feel how excited she is, and she shares with you that she used to be terrified answering phone calls from school, and you can tell her, oh, I know how you feel. I've been there. It gets better. You're gonna be good. So this makes this position that much more rewarding for me personally. Working with culturally and linguistically diverse families, culturally appropriate communication. In order to work effectively with families from diverse backgrounds, parent liaisons need to understand the culture of the families they work with and design outreach and communication strategies that respond to specific social, cultural, and linguistic needs of the group. Cultural differences in communication may affect school-family relationships. For example, in many Eastern cultures and Latino cultures, looking down or away when being spoken to is a sign of showing respect. But it can easily be mistaken as a show of defiance or disrespect, because here we're encouraged to look speaker in the eye and stand up and be confident. So this is a good example for cultural differences. Students may come from a home in which children are told to be seen and not heard. So speaking up and participating in a class seems wrong to them. Uniqueness of each family system. Knowledge and understanding of the variety of family structure and systems increased parent liaisons' ability to respond to family needs. People from other cultures will share more about themselves if they feel welcome and respected. Diversity as an asset. Being exposed to other cultures allows people to realize that the similarities and differences between those from different cultures are important, and each situation is unique and may require a different approach. Inviting parents to workshops and other events can help them learn more about other cultures and bring community closer together. I was present the other day at the pre-K family appreciation breakfast, and at one table we had moms, Asian moms, Arabic moms, Polish moms, Afro-American moms, and I was just handing out flyers for our upcoming event with Moraine Valley, and they were laughing together, crying when seeing their kids on the screen in a short video, sharing plans for summer, exchanging recipes. It was so fun to watch them, and we have to remember culture brings us closer. We have to be open for other cultures and embrace our differences. Technology can be difficult for families from different countries. It's not that common. Use of technology is not that common in some countries. So parents who are not comfortable with technology or have no experience with it are facing challenges, and we help them with that also.
And the question why?
Oh my gosh.
Why the parent liaison role is important. It is to bridge communication. We are the bridge. We are the ones that connect parents, culture to the school.
In my opinion, also, I'm a big supporter of language. Removing the language barrier, being bilingual helps a lot with the interpretation and translation, and encouraging from the families from holding back and not communicating to the school. Just having somebody who's from your same culture, speaks your language, makes families really comfortable and come into the schools. And we've seen a larger number of families who are bilingual participating in our school events. That's great.
And I've just seen such a big success since we've opened up this new role. It's been 2 years. Just the engagement of our families have increased. We collect data on how many of our families are coming to our workshops, how many of our students and their families are participating in our bilingual story times, and we've seen an increase in this engagement, and have also seen an increase in just being able to connect with our families throughout the district. And so I'm very grateful that our Board of Education and Superintendent have allowed us this opportunity of this role within our school district, and they truly are shaping the future of our community. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to have a quick question and answer panel. I know we're done in about 15 minutes, so we'll open it up for some questions for any one of us. Right there.
Hi, I'm a bilingual teacher in a small school district. How do you get funding for such a position?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of ways that you can leverage some funding depending on your district and what tier they are in. You can use evidence-based funding, which is funding from the state. You can also use Title III funding. There is Title I funding. You would have to work with your grant managers and administrators in charge of these funding sources to be able to leverage them for these roles. And you can also utilize district funds if there are funds available.
Is this a full-time position or a part-time position?
Yes, so these are full-time positions. So we are very fortunate that they are full-time positions.
10 months or 12 months?
They are on a 10-month contract. But we do open it up for the summer. For example, they would be able to get additional compensation if we would ask them to come in at nighttime, in the evenings, or throughout the summer. And that would be through a timesheet that we would track, and we'd be able to compensate them. Yes?
Yeah, can you repeat the questions into the microphone?
Absolutely. Yes. All right, next question.
Hi, so I have a dual role. I am a family outreach, so parent liaison, but also certified interpreter, both medical, legal. Do you, and this is my first year in the educational environment, so my struggle right now is working with other staff, kind of respecting their boundaries, and because I have to change hats, you know, between interpreter, between advocate, and so sometimes I'm expected just to interpret, like for IEPs, but then the parent is used to me advocating for them, and it's, you know, difficult. Do you offer any like trainings or staff on how to work with your parent liaisons, you know, in a room when they're interpreting, in the registration process?
Excuse me, what you said is absolutely correct. I was in that predicament in my district, and they decided that it's a fine line, right? Because when you are a parent liaison, you're there as an advocate, and you're, as we know, who are certified interpreters, you have to be just the voice. And so if you advise, sometimes, as you know, the parents come back to you after these meetings to ask you questions, and that's when I felt I could guide them because I have so much information. How can you keep the information to you? But of course, you cannot say anything at the meeting. Because of that predicament, my district decided to hire an interpreting company and to remove me from the IEP 504 meetings. The parents were very, very upset, but we are in a district in which we are a minority, so it's important what you said about communication and also training your administrators about our roles, because some of them do not understand how important it is to be parent liaison and their interpreter, familiar interpreter and certified translator.
I'm going to pass it to Manal to talk about the interpretation and the training that she has given and that she's involved in. But I do want to layer in that it all goes back to the purpose. If they're attending an IEP meeting, the true purpose of that is interpretation. If it's family engagement, the true purpose of that is being there as a family liaison and engaging the families and translating for the families. We do speak to our building administration and our senior leadership team about their roles. We do introduce them to the team and their responsibilities and goals. Manal, do you want to talk a little bit about the
okay, that is correct. There's two roles, actually, the parent liaison and advocating, with families and the school in that interactive, engaging families. And then there's that clear line doing the interpreting and translation. So I was previously certified through early intervention. I was an interpreter with early intervention. And I feel like right now ISB doesn't have a training up yet for certified school interpreters, but the closest is early intervention in terms of, special education. When you go into the IEPs in 504 and special education, there's a clear line. You have to understand that you are just merely an interpreter. You do oral interpretation, make sure you just interpret correctly, whether it's same thing with medical or court interpreters, you're taught, for the setting. And I hope ISB does find a training vendor and we train us for a school setting, right? Just like early intervention trains you for interpreting with service providers in a home setting. So we do our best as interpreters and we translate word for word and we are neutral. We do not take any sides. And if a parent does have questions regarding services, we make sure that we just take those questions to the right people they need to ask. Other than that, we are concerted parent liaisons. They can ask us about anything else and we can let them know what's available, what resources are available, what else, information that they inquire from us.
Thank you, Manal. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, hi. So I'm a new... Okay, get the microphone. I'm a new family liaison. I started in the last few weeks, and I'm the only one from my district, so I'm learning a lot. So a question I have, another person in the room mentioned that they have some parents who are not literate, and I guess I'm asking maybe for the parent liaisons, in terms of communication, how you maybe identify that something is not working, and how you identify if a parent may be even struggling with literacy, and what are your methods for maybe approaching communication if technology isn't working, if even letters maybe are not procuring results. What do you guys do for that?
I'll start off with the adult ESL courses. That's one way we identify parents. We offer courses with specific levels. So for example, in the fall, that was really tailored to parents who were in the early beginner stages of English language acquisition. And so they are identified there if they're requesting and getting that feedback and wanna be a part of it. And we do ask them, from their perspective too, what ways can we engage families who do experience things like you within our school district? And another way is just connecting with our families and with our teachers. So we have a newcomer committee meeting where I meet with teachers twice throughout the school year and ask them about some suggestions and recommendations for our students. And then also there's a layer of if anything comes up with our families, they're able to express that to us. So it's really just having conversations with your stakeholder groups and leveraging their experiences and planning forward. All right. Any other questions? I think we had one back there. What's your question?
Merci. Je voudrais savoir à propos de ce qu'on a appris par rapport à la séance.
Yeah, with what we learned today, I would like to know.
La leçon d'aujourd'hui, on nous a appris combien le fait d'utiliser deux langues est important.
And I think today we learned about the importance of using two languages.
Je voudrais savoir maintenant les enfants qui se retrouvent dans un environnement où les parents n'ont pas été à l'école, ils ne savent pas l'importance de l'école, et pour eux, la langue les prédilections que les enfants doivent absolument utiliser que l'anglais.
But you know, we have families that haven't been to school, are not well educated, and for them, what's the most important is that the child or the children do only speak English.
Il faut oublier la première langue.
And they have a tendency to say you should forget about your first language.
Il faut effacer la première langue.
You should erase it.
À votre niveau maintenant, comment vous vous prenez pour ramener ces parents-là à la raison pour que les enfants puissent utiliser les deux langues, garder les deux langues?
So how do you deal with families that have a tendency to think that the first language should be avoided or erased?
C'est ça ma préoccupation.
Thank you. That's such a lovely, lovely question. Thank you so much for asking. I would say begin with awareness. So one of our workshops we held was called The Gift of Language. And during this workshop, we talked to our families and allowed them to have breakout sessions and interact with one another on keeping that second language, keeping that first language going simultaneously, and what are the gifts of having a second language? What are the gifts of having your home language and utilizing that in terms of a student's cognitive development or college and career readiness or economics? So I would definitely start with building awareness with your families and your communities. Thank you for that question. All right, we do have our contact information here. Thank you so much for attending. We appreciate you all in our amazing community of our multilingual learners.
We also have cards available in the front desk if need be as well.